There. Straight.
Towards the end of the video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to get the best results when going on a boat trip. Things I wish I knew before I went on the boat trip. Things I'm going to put into practice when I go on a boat trip on the Isle of Mull when we go looking for the white-tailed eagle and the golden eagle.
I can see me spending eternity wrapped up in your loving arms. You lift me higher than the rivers, deeper than the oceans of blue. That's how far I've fallen for you, my love. That's how far I've fallen for you. The sky is blue, the grass is green, and outside my window the songbird sings with your hand in mine. The sun shines bright, they say love is blind, but you open my eyes, 'cause I can see me spending eternity.
That's not the one we're going on.
Wrapped up in your loving arms. You lift me higher than the rivers, deeper than the oceans of blue. That's how far I've fallen.
There. Straight.
My love.
I've got him.
That's how far I've fallen for you.
Yeah, he's coming up and down at the moment. He's heading towards kayak. Something broke the surface. There. There he's out again.
A chill runs down my spine when you whisper my name.
He's hanging around in that spot now. Oh
There's a
yeah.
symphony of angels when I hear your voice. I know in my heart that I made the right choice, 'cause I can see me spending eternity wrapped up in your loving arms. You lift me higher than the rivers, deeper than the oceans of blue. That's how far I've fallen for you, my love. That's how far I've fallen for you. That's how far I've fallen for you.
All the way around.
If you want to see the full 360-degree video of this trip, you've got to sign up to the Patreon.
So if you don't know what a whelk is, it's a large glorified sea snail. They're a bit gross and rubbery in my personal opinion. But in other countries, such as South Korea, they're considered a delicacy and an aphrodisiac. So that's where these ones are processed and shipped off to. And these are all staple food diet for the dolphins. So that's most of the time why we see them hanging around this area. So they're trying to catch a quick meal. So yes, it did just pop up again in our 12 o'clock direction underneath all those birds. So there is a reason why those birds are kind of flying around and being pretty active around the dolphin right now. And this is because when that dolphin is foraging, which it's most likely doing right now, it will create a bait ball. So it corrals a bunch of fish into a little ball, pushes it up to the surface, and that's how they trap them. Now, birds have learned this behavior, so they will watch as a dolphin is foraging and then fly on down and catch an easy, quick meal. So that's probably why I think this dolphin is foraging right now. It's a pretty big indication.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
So yes, one of you guys didn't know, there are two. So there is one a bit further out. It did a peduncle dive. So you may have noticed its tail came up out of the water completely. So this is a dive that they do when they're trying to get closer to the bottom of the sandbank. So deeper dives. And it's usually when they're foraging as well. So their entire fluke or their tail will come straight up into the water as they head directly down towards the bottom of the sandbank. There's the one in front of us as well. So there's at least two. There might be a third one. I'm trying to figure out if there is a third one in the area. Oh, and that one in our 11 o'clock direction just did a beautiful example of that peduncle dive that I mentioned. So the one on our left-hand side, it was a bit closer to us than that one. I can't tell if it's the same one. Dolphins are very hard to figure out how many there are. They don't really make it very easy. But it did seem to be coming a bit closer. So sometimes these dolphins can be pretty interactive with the boats. So yes, I do think there's 3 at the moment. Because there's the one more so in our 9 o'clock direction, one in our 11, and the one that was hanging a bit further out. Us in the fish factory on our left side. So it's a bit harder to see, but there is, so I was correct, there were 3. The third one has moved a bit further away now. It's closer to our sister boat, the Airmole 6, the red one, so in between us and that one as well. So there are 3 in the area right now, which is always exciting.
200 metres further along from where we are at the moment. Just did a full breach in the air.
So, as Jonna was saying, now we did have one of the dolphins just jump right off of our right hand side. So there are 2. They're being a bit active right now. Oh, big! There you go. So that dolphin just took a nice good look at us, which is always really cute. But they can jump or breach completely out of the water. Ooh, yep. So they can jump up to 5 meters into the air. So very impressive. But they would. So I do think this is Barry. So Barry is an adult female. Oh, there's another one that just jumped too. So there's 3 on our right hand side. Yes, so the one that just leaped just now, that's a calf. So a lot smaller. But Barry, the one in the back, has a white patch. She's, I believe, the mother, and this is Faye, her calf. So a dorsal fin for a dolphin acts as a thumbprint. So makes it really easy to identify these ones. There was a beautiful shot of Barry again. So that was a big breach. So I don't do it as often. But these dolphins are very social animals, so they're so this is a nice, safe, shallow, protected nursery for these mothers to raise their young. So this mother and calf are still hanging around our 3 o'clock direction. Again, not moving too much, so they might be foraging, trying to catch a quick meal. But as I mentioned, the shallow bay is a perfect place for these mothers to teach their young how to forage. So they don't have to hold their breath as long. There's plenty of food, especially by the fish factory. So that's usually what we see them doing. Wow.
Whoa. I'm so glad I set up the 360 camera.
Really put them in show. Yeah, they definitely showed it. They definitely showed it all. They definitely see all these humans around. And they're doing a look what we do.
They're too close.
Now you may have noticed, okay, so now, oh, there they are. So, around 2 o'clock direction, pretty close to us actually. So you may have noticed while those dolphins were nice and close to us that they are huge. So they're a lot bigger than most people think. So here in Cardigan Bay, the bottlenose dolphins actually grow to the largest size of any bottlenose dolphin in the world. So they can reach top lengths of 4 to 4.5 meters and weigh up to roughly half a ton. So again, these animals are huge. So they use what's known as echolocation. So dolphins have what's called a melon. It's right in front of their brain and shoots out a series of clicks into the water in front of them at around 1,000 clicks per minute. These clicks will hit an object such as a prey source or a fish, rebounding back to the dolphin and entering their lower jaw, which is completely hollow. And they won't chew their food. The only reason they would even attempt to use their teeth to chew is if they caught a big fish such as a salmon, they would bite it into smaller pieces and then continue to swallow those whole. And they won't lose their teeth either, so they just grow a new layer of enamel around every single one of their teeth every single year to help strengthen them. So if you took a dolphin's tooth and you cut it horizontally, another big breach. Ooh, it's okay. We have that one breaching in around our 11 o'clock direction. We have another one in around our 10 o'clock direction.
Oh, for f***'s sake.
Around in this group of boys right here. Lots of splashing. Oh, big breach in our 11 o'clock direction as well. So it's very impressive that we're seeing these dolphins being incredibly active right now. But it does seem like another big breach. Sounds either alone or in smaller groups, and they'll reconvene later on in the day. So as you can imagine, it's like catching up with an old friend. So,
I'm glad I got the camera up there catching it all. I'm nowhere near fast enough. I was like, oh, there it is.
So yes, in our 11 o'clock direction, we are getting a really good view of that young calf. Yes, there are the ones, so there's 2, maybe 3, 10 o'clock direction. There's another one in our 9 o'clock direction as well.
There's one over there as well. They're everywhere.
We're lucky.
Yes. If it was sharks, we probably wouldn't be doing the same thing.
We won't be so excited, will we?
I think
I mean, even if there were sharks, we'd be on the boat.
don't know. I wouldn't mind. Basking shark would be lovely to see.
Yeah.
Or a whale shark. They're nice and slow.
So you may have noticed on the group a bit further behind us that's doing all the slashing, there was actually a fish. So you may notice that there was a tiny little shiny thing that popped up out of the water. So those dolphins are foraging. So they sometimes just throw the fish out of the water to kind of stun it again, making it easier for them to eat.
But there's a pebbly beach kind of come up. It's going to be revealed as we pass this series of it's sort of a cliff that descends into the water. Behind it is a pebbly beach, and as we reveal more of it, you'll see, hopefully, you'll see a little white seal pup. If we haven't, probably a couple of meters to the left. I think her mum might be there actually. I better put the binoculars on and have a look, because she's obscured. I thought it was a rock obscuring the pup, but actually it could be the mum feeding, because I think I just saw that rock put its flipper in the air. So yeah, if you can just see, there's a bit of white showing, and there's a mottled grey something blocking the view of the pup. That's its mother out a little bit, and that makes the distance correct of your eyeball.
Just to the left of that.
Whereas if you're wearing glasses,
Stuff from the water.
keep the eyepieces twisted to the right, and then just slightly shorter, because the binoculars are held further away from your eyes. So yeah, if you're having difficulty identifying what is a seal and what is rocks, it's quite normal that. To be able to tell them apart is very difficult until they move, and then that gives the game away.
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
Actually quite difficult even with the binoculars to see what you're actually looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I saw. I think I did see it.
So
Very well camouflaged.
without me having a better view, I'm only going on my past viewing experiences that it's a mother feeding.
So during the months of late August or early January, as their breeding and pupping season, they do coincide with one another. So pregnant female will come up onto these beaches to give birth to one singular pup. Has a nice white fluffy coating, and because of this coating, it would get waterlogged if it tried to swim, so it actually can't swim for the first 3-ish weeks of its life. So it will spend all of its time on the beach, and that coating keeps it nice and warm. Now this mother will only spend that 3-week period with it, so she tends and weans it very, very quickly. So she will stay in the area keeping an eye on it, but around 9 times a day she'll come up onto land to feed the pup, and she'll feed it with around a liter of milk every single time. Now seal's milk is the richest milk in the entirety of the animal kingdom. It has a 62% fat content, so it's more of a milkshake consistency rather than the milk you put in your tea or coffee. And this is to ensure that that seal pup gains a ton of weight, at around 3 pounds a day over that 3-week period, so it can build up on extra blubber, extra fat reserves, and withstand the cool waters of Cardigan Bay. So we'll spend 80% of its life out at sea. Now on land, they're not very agile. They pretty much just sit there, they'll sunbathe, they'll take a rest, but in the water they are quite impressive. So they can hold their breath for 30 minutes, dive down to depths of 1,000 feet, and reach top speeds of 22 miles an hour. So again, very, very impressive for these seals.
So I'm going to give you a couple of tips on this boat trip as we come back in. This cost about £25 for an hour and a half on Suncatcher from Quay. It was well worth the trip, but there was a couple of things I would recommend. One, try and get just after high tide. So we went for the 12:30 in this instance. This is when the dolphins are most likely to be in land looking for food. I also don't recommend using an 800mm lens. On this day I didn't have the teleconverter, but I didn't need it. I would actually recommend using something more towards a 400mm lens, or ideally the 100 to 500mm lens. The 800mm was way too close. I'd also recommend pre-booking just to make sure you get the spots that you need for the high tide. Do your own research to make sure the high tide's at the right time for you. And getting there early to make sure that you can get on the boat where you want to position. Maybe more towards the front rather than where I was standing, so you don't have the ladder in the way. It was a bit tricky and a bit aggravating at times. It was happening behind the ladder. I did take the tripod on there. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it, and it turns out that it was more of a hindrance than anything else. But I would recommend a monopod. You'll never be able to get it stable because you're not on a stable surface for obvious reasons, but it was more of a case for me to take the pressure off my arms so I can lift them up for longer. I'd also recommend taking your eye away from the camera to, one, enjoy the experience, and two, prevent yourself from getting seasick. Towards the end I was starting to get quite seasick when I was looking through the lens quite frequently.
Was the little woman saying to me, "What's that there on the water?" I was looking out, I said, "See, youngest summit," and it was facing the other way, and it turned. I said, "I think it's a guillemot."